Dear friends, this is our third episode asking, did Hebrew God Yahweh have a wife? Was there a time when Hebrew people worshipped a divine couple, God Yahweh and goddess Asherah? In the first episode, we looked into an archaeological discoveries in a caravan stop in Kutilet Ajrud in Sinai Peninsula. Second episode was about a tomb in Khirbet el-Qom in Judea. Both were Iron Ages archaeological locations and finds. Today, we will look into the Hebrew Bible itself. And if you read the Bible superficially, like the Christians as well as Jewish fundamentalists do, the image looks straightforward. The cult of Asherah was corruption of the only true religion. It was a repugnant idolatry and a pagan abomination. Only naive and unfaithful allowed themselves to be seduced by it. The faithful had to reject it completely and without any reservations. Biblical revulsion over goddess Asherah went so far that she was almost completely eliminated from the biblical text. Even using grammar, attaching definite articles, possessive suffixes, and some strange plurals, Asherah was turned from a goddess into a mere object, most likely a symbolical representation of a tree. And this impotent object was further attacked and rejected to be completely eliminated, cut off, burned, and destroyed. But goddess Asherah is still present in the Bible, and even as a partner of God Yahweh, of course, in disguise. There is a quite common understanding among the West Semitic scholars that Lady Wisdom in the first chapters of the Book of Proverbs is in reality a surrogate name for the goddess Asherah. I heard it decades ago in Prague when I studied in Edinburgh. And here in America, for instance, Mark Smith writes about it. The reality is quite clear if you are familiar with ancient Near East mythology and iconography. For instance, Lady Wisdom is described using an iconic image of Asherah as a tree feeding her devotees in Proverb 8. She is described as a tree whose fruit is better than gold or silver. Text was little obscured in editing process, and the name of the goddess was substituted to appease probably religious zealots. But just listen to this lovely hymn from the Proverbs 8 in my translation, where I gently highlighted certain intuitive aspects of this text. It's Proverbs 8:22 through 31, and it is a song of Lady Wisdom. Yahweh has acquired me even before his oldest works. At the beginning I was installed, well before the beginning of the earth. There were no oceans, and I was to give birth. Even before the springs broke with water, before mountains were planted, before the first hill appeared, I was to give birth. Before he had made the earth with its borders, before the first lumps of dry land emerged, while he was fixing of the heavens above, I was. In his cutting of the arch of horizon above the face of the sea, in the hanging up of clouds above, in his pushing up the fountain springs from below, in his setting of limits to the waters, so that they would never transgress his commands, in his establishing the pillars of the earth. In all of this I stood faithfully by his side. Day after day I was the one of his delight, his purest joy at all times. I gave him joy in a world of land and delight in humankind. What a beautiful poetical version of creation story. But it is not just any creation story. The Hebrew text is heavy with childbearing allusions and vocabulary. Very specific word is there used for being born or giving birth. It's root chavala, word for birth pangs. And there are other allusions, breaking of water, for instance, emergence of the first lump, pushing up mountains, cutting of the horizon, and giving to the husband the joy of children. I cannot help it. This is beautiful example of creation by procreation. A divine couple is giving birth to the world and humankind. In this case, explicitly, Yahweh and Lady Wisdom. And before censorship, very likely Yahweh and Asherah. And originally, it was most likely God El and Asherah. And there is beautiful poem here of Yahweh and his wife right under our noses. And that is something you might not know about the Bible. And eventually, I would like to talk also, maybe in the next episode, about the theological consequences of all of this beautiful and deep theological poetry and thinking.